Unbelievable job, Alex. I can tell you one thing right now. I didn't expect anything less. I knew you were going to deliver that content. It is, you guys, I know you're thinking about, okay, what's this got to do with building businesses? It's everything to do with mindset's everything. And I'll talk about it a little bit when I talk about making some money, but I want you to get your mindset on. We are in the time of our lives. We've got to be empathetic. We cannot be maniacs. We can't rub anything in anybody's faces. We've got to be that absolute voice of integrity, of compassion, of empathy. And Cindy Mayer, I'm thinking about your dear husband. Losing him had to be the absolute, beyond words. And I want you to know our heart, all of our hearts go out to you. And that prayer for Corey is that prayer for you. That prayer for Corey's that is the prayer for Shar Murphy's husband who passed last week. I mean, it is a tough time and it is a scary time, but this is when we are a family that hangs together. Next guest up, the one and only Sheryl Morley. This woman fights through it like nobody I've ever met before. You never know. You never know what she's going through. She is just that good, just that strong. I met her 22 years ago. She has been a force in my life since then. She was smart enough to get out of my way when I didn't need her. She was smart enough to be in my face when I did. She is a great woman, 2 beautiful kids, incredible husband, voice of the world on fairness. Her husband, and little Justice, and her beautiful daughter. It's just awesome who this woman is. And we are so lucky to have her. Sheryl Morley, how are you, my friend?
I'm great, Tom. Thank you so much, you guys. I am so excited to be here with you today. And gosh, Tom, thank you so much for putting this together, for getting us on here, and really getting me out of my comfort zone, of course, which is a great time right now to do it. And thank you so much to Steve and Michelle. I thought that was absolutely awesome. I'm super excited about this bundle. And I think, you guys, that, and I know that all of us are going through stuff, right? And I think we have no idea what Steve and Michelle have to go through every day to keep this big train on the track. And I just want them to know how grateful I am, and I know how grateful all of us are for that, and for doing that for the last like 25 years. And Dr. Wallach, are you kidding me? I was so excited when he said that we could eat rice, because I love rice, right? And I'm like, yes. So I'm excited about that. I loved what Dr. Wallach said. And you know what he does? Every time I hear him, you guys, he gives me hope. And I think that's what it is. He gives every single one of us hope. And everybody that spoke, really so awesome. I loved what Alex said. And I have to tell you, I feel like I'm not a grumbler, but let me tell you something. You guys, I am horrified that I'm stuck in this house. But guess what? I have a house to be stuck in, right? So let me just be grateful for that. And thank you, Alex, for pointing that out and for having me switch it. So I love that. So as I was thinking about what I was going to speak about today, and I heard, and Tom asked me, and I was like, oh my gosh. And, you know, I always get so nervous, and I really feel like fear grabs a hold of me, and I'm kind of stuck. I'm frozen. I'm like, oh, I'm not sure. I don't know. And, you know, and so what I wanted to talk about today, and what I thought would be awesome, is if I talk to you about the 4 steps to conquering fear. So it is a technique that I have learned, and I am absolutely loving it. And so I really wanted to share it with you today, because you guys, let's face it, there's a lot of fear out there, right? There is a lot of fear going on everywhere we look, every time we turn around. There's fear about the virus. There's fear about this. There's fear about that. And so I thought it would be awesome to share with you this technique that I have learned. So there's 4 steps to conquering fear. And we're going to use the acronym WORM to conquer the fear that we're feeling today. And thank you, Alex, for having everybody get out their pen and paper, because that's what you guys need to keep on hand now. Because I'm going to talk to you about the 5 types of fear.
Man,
Okay,
you got
so
a
there's
regular
5
old
different
party
types
going
of
on
fear.
out there, big dog.
Okay, I love that. What's going on out there, big dog? I love that. That was awesome, you guys. If you want to yell out at any time, please do. It keeps the energy up. I'm loving that. Okay, so let's get back to this fear thing though, and this worm. We're gonna worm our fear. So here we go. So step 1 in conquering fear starts with the W, right? And that stands for witness. So we need to witness which fear it is that we're feeling. So let's talk about the 5 types of fear. Number 1, fear of the unknown. And remember, you guys, I want you guys to write down which one of these, and it might be more than one, right? So especially at this time in life, as I've talked to other people about this, there's more than one, but a lot of times there's one that really is taking over us, okay? So fear of the unknown. And I believe that that's kind of what's happening right now, is the fear of the unknown. We have no idea what's going to happen with the virus. We have no idea what's going to happen tomorrow. We have no idea about if we get it, how will we feel? Well, do I have it? Will I give it to somebody else and hurt somebody? Right? So all of these things are fear of the unknown. We just have no idea. So that's the first one. Number 2 is the fear of loss. Okay? That is death. So we can look at death is one of the things that we could fear. Also, what about fear of financial stability? Right? So that's another thing that we could definitely fear at this time, a loss of our job or our business, or you know what? And it's one thing that I just mentioned, like fear of freedom, right? Or fear of not having that freedom. I can't go anywhere. I can't, really, I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm stuck, right? So think about that and think about the way that you're feeling as we go over these, okay? So number 3 is the fear of pain. And this is kind of obvious, right? Physical pain. If we touch a hot stove, we know it's hot, we won't touch it again. But what about getting old, right? That's a fear of pain in a way. What about loneliness? So I have a really good friend. My daughter goes over to her house to ride one of her horses that we leased from her. And I was talking to her a little bit and just kind of saying, kind of running through this with her and just saying, well, what are your fears? And we were just kind of chatting. And she just said, Sheryl, I am so scared that I'm going to get this virus and give it to my husband. Right. And so, and she said, and then he'll die and then I'll be alone. Right. So it's that loneliness. It's that feeling of loneliness that we could possibly have. Right. So number 3 was pain. Number 4 is the fear of being insignificant. Wow. So that's pretty obvious what that is, but it's feeling, like you really don't matter. Like nobody cares who you are, what you do. Nobody cares how you feel. Feeling that you're not worthy of being loved, or feeling unwanted, or feeling perhaps that you're just not enough. So that's 4. And then number 5 is the fear of rejection. So think about that. And you guys, this fear of rejection thing comes up all the time, I think, for all of us. And there's so many different ways, right? I mean, like you could fear that, well, I've told my neighbor about these products and, and they're just saying no, even though I know these are the best products in the world. Right? So that could be the fear of rejection, or the fear of, that they're going to say, oh, network marketing, whatever they say to you, but that rejection that you would feel. What about feeling embarrassed? That's another fear. That was a really big fear of mine, by the way, feeling embarrassed, because I was always so embarrassed when I was younger. And a lot of these fears too, you guys, can come from our past. So I want you to keep that in mind too. So what about feeling like you're going to disappoint other people, right? Or fear of being judged by others. So you guys think about that. Which one of those, let me run through them really super quick. So the fear of the unknown, fear of loss, fear of pain, fear of feeling or being insignificant, and the fear of rejection. So which of those 5 fears do you feel the most? And you guys, you can put that in the chat. Let us know. Mine was, my biggest fear, I think, is being embarrassed. And that's, like I said, from the past, but that is one of my biggest fears. So make sure you do that. Put that in the chat if you'd like, or just make sure that you've written it down in your book. And then we're going to talk about how we are going to stop feeling this fear. Okay. So again, number one is stands for witness. So we need to know which one it is that we're feeling. And you guys, let's talk about this for a minute. So the fear that you are feeling, I want you to be clear on the words that I'm using. It's the fear you're feeling. This fear is not your identity. It's not who you are. So we need to stop saying, I am afraid or I am scared. We need to recognize that the fear is what you are just feeling. Again, it's not your identity. And that's super important. So instead of saying, I'm afraid or I'm scared or I'm stuck, we want to say things like, I'm feeling the fear of whatever it is. So I'm feeling the fear of the unknown, or I'm feeling the fear of rejection, right? Or I'm feeling the fear of being insignificant. So I want you guys to really think about that though, and really pay attention to that, because it's super important. Our words mean everything. And the way that we say them, it's set into our mind, and that is the way that we will act. And so we need to make sure that we separate those two things, right? So it's not our identity. It's not who we are. It's simply a way that we are feeling. Okay, so separating that is a real key for each of us. Okay, so step number 2 to conquering our fear is I, which stands for interrupt. Okay, so now we have the fear, and now we must interrupt the feeling that we're having. So how do we do that? How are we going to interrupt this feeling that we're having? So the first thing we have to do is we have to realize we have it. So we know, oh my gosh, I'm feeling fear of the unknown. Okay, so now we need to interrupt that feeling. So the way that I like to do it, and the way that's worked best for me, is that I do some deep breathing exercises. Okay, so you want to close your eyes and count in, breathe in to a count of 4, hold for a count of 4, and then breathe out for a count of 4. So that deep breathing, it interrupts the way that you're feeling. Another way to do that is through meditation. And I love this. Years ago, Denise would tell me, I think you should meditate, Sheryl. And I was like, meditate? Yikes. Talking about being scared of something, right? And when I very first started out to meditating, 30 seconds, like I thought literally would kill me. I really thought that. But now it's really become a bigger part of who I am, and I'm getting really good at it. And so now I'm up to 15 minutes. So I'm super excited that I am up to 15 minutes on this meditation, because really what we're doing, we're stopping the fear by increasing this muscle, right? So it's a muscle that we really have to get stronger. So building the muscle to stop the fear, and we do that through meditation. And you guys think about that. So there's 3 different ways that we can react to fear. We either freeze, we run or flight, freeze, flight, or fight, right? So there's one of those 3 things is what we do. And we really do need to stop that. And it's going to be a muscle, right? It's going to be a muscle that we're going to use meditation to help us become stronger on interrupting that fear. So that's number 2 is interrupt. And then number 3 is redirect. So we have got to redirect to what we really want. So if we're feeling fear and we're caught up in this fear, we've got to realize it. We have got to interrupt it. And then we've got to redirect. So what is it that you really want? You've got to know what your goals are. You've got to know what your intentions are for your business and for your life. And I was thinking a little bit about this, and what my intention is to make an impact on people's lives through helping them strengthen their immune system and also strengthen their bank account. So that for me is how I redirect. And I think about that, and I think about why I'm here and how I can help and what I can do, and the fantastic products that we have and the business opportunity that we have. So I think those things, and that's what I redirect to. So you need to redirect to the things that you want. or to the thing that you want, the goals and the intentions that you have. You've got to redirect to that. And then number 4 stands for, well, it's an M, okay? So worm stands with an M, and that stands for mantra. And you guys, I just love the word mantra. I love everything about mantras. So what mantras do is remind you of what your core beliefs are. Okay. And so you want to focus on this mantra. So you're going to say this mantra. That's the 4th step in overcoming your fear, is saying this mantra over and over again. And I have a couple of my favorite ones that I want to tell you guys, and you can certainly write those down if you want. And if not, then please find your own mantra. And it's something that you say over and over again as you redirect away from the fear. So here's a couple of my favorite ones. And remember that what this mantra does is it reminds you of what your core beliefs are. So here's some of my favorites. You get what you focus on. So very simple, but it's something that you say over and over and over to yourself, right? I get what I focus on. I get what I focus on. So it gets you out of that fear. Action conquers fear. That is another one of my favorite ones, right? Because I tend to freeze. So when fear comes, I tend to freeze. I'm like, oh, and I just freeze up. I thought my whole life that I was a fighter. Well, apparently I just freeze, which was really hard for me to even come to terms with that, right? But that's what I do. So, but I know that. And so I love to have a mantra, action conquers fear, right? And so that just reminds me. Here's another great one. Things don't happen to me. They happen for me. And I love that. Everything that we go through, you guys, is for our benefit. And that's exactly what Alex was talking about. Everything we go for is for our benefit if we look at it that way, right? If that's what we focus on. So I love that. Things don't happen to me, they happen for me, right? Tough times don't last, tough people do. I love that one. That might be one of my favorites. That might be one of my favorites. But actually, number 5 is probably the one that's most near and dear to me. And this is what my dad always used to say to me. And he's since passed away, but I'm telling you, I still use this all the time. And that mantra is, and this too shall pass. And I really believe that. We're going through a hard time. All of us, I feel like in Longevity, we are pulling together as a group of people who love each other and who love to get this message of health and wellness and this message of financial abundance out to every single person. And I love that about us. I am so grateful for each of you and for the way that we have pulled together at this time. So you guys, I promise you that you can conquer fear. I promise you, when I very first heard, that you can conquer fear, I was like, yeah, right. Fear, I don't have fear. I would say all these weird things that would come. Fear, I don't fear anything. How could I fear something? I'm strong. I'm tough. But really, if you think about it and go over those 5 things, all of us fear something. But there's a way that I have found, and I know it works. I have been using it. I have done it, and I do it every single day. So you guys, just remember WIRM, W-I-R-M. Witness your thoughts and emotions. Interrupt them with deep breathing and meditation, redirect to what you really want, and then use your favorite mantra to reaffirm what your core beliefs are. I love each and every one of you. I'm so grateful that you are on the call today, and I am grateful that I got to come and share a few of the things that are working for me in my life and my business. Thank you, Tom.